try this. So, having recently taken ownership of the powerful and comprehensive Roland Jupiter X, you may find it surprising that I've turned my attention to the diminutive and lightweight Roland Gaia SH-01. Well, the first thing I considered when installing the Jupiter X, which is by no means physically small and takes up significant space, was where to for the Gaia. We joke about how many synths one can have. And yes, most of these machines dovetail and eclipse one another when it comes to sounds and features, and it's certainly worthy of consideration. Consolidating our workflow and decluttering our workspace are important. Too much gear and too many options can bog one down creatively and slow production. The Jupiter X can do everything the Gaia does, and much of it a lot better. So my first thought was to move the Gaia on, to redeem some studio space, and to avoid duplication. So I plugged it in and started to jam on it for old time's sake. I was reminded of this little unit's strengths: big bottom end, raw and searing solo sounds, rough and ready. So I moved on to consider to keep the Gaia as part of my live rig for certain gigs. The Jupiter X is certainly not under consideration for leaving my studio anytime soon. Having said that, and I certainly will be taking the Gaia along to certain gigs in the future, I came across some other features which maybe make the Gaia worth keeping. I had always been intrigued by the specifications on the Roland website about the Gaia, which included the fact that the keyboard is velocity sensitive. Yet my Gaia has never had any velocity sensitivity. I decided to research this. Now, it's a no-brainer that the Gaia is designed as an emulation of the original SH series of monosynths built by Roland in the 70s and the 80s, none of which were velocity sensitive. So it's not unreasonable to accept that this synth would not be velocity sensitive. However, the specs did indicate otherwise, and Roland would not make a mistake like that on their global website, surely. So I did some investigation and discovered, for the very reasons I've just mentioned, the Roland Gaia is shipped with velocity sensitivity switched off. It can actually be switched on, and this is how. So, to switch velocity sensitivity on or off, you hold down the shift cancel button, and then while holding it down, hold down the key hold button. If it's lit, it means the velocity is fixed. If it's unlit, it means you have a velocity sensitive keyboard. This led me to my next bit of exploration, the hidden general MIDI PCM section. So, much to the horror of some purists, the Gaia, apart from the primary virtual synth engine, has a multi-timbral GM or general MIDI engine as well, with stock emulations of pianos, organs, strings, brass, etc., and includes a drum kit, similar to the old Roland sound canvas modules, if you can remember those. This led me to the realization that the Gaia has another purpose for me as well. It is compact with a 37-note keybed. The keybed is not top shelf, but it's not bad either. Pretty good actually. Better than many MIDI controllers out there in my opinion. And now I know it's velocity sensitive. It can operate on batteries. So maybe you can see where I'm going with this. I can stick the Gaia and an iPad or laptop in my backpack, and I have a very portable MIDI production workstation at my disposal. To confirm this, I had to make sure that I can integrate the Gaia into my digital audio workstation. And an important requirement is to be able to switch local control of the sound generator in the unit off. This is how we do that. To switch local on or off, once again you hold down the cancel shift button, and right at the top right you give your center cancel on or off, and when it's lit you have local control on, and when it's off your local control is off. This is actually a game changer and moves this keyboard into another league for me. So, in a relatively compact package, the Gaia gives me the following. 1. An excellent and very playable 37-key MIDI controller. 2. A really fat little synthesizer to make my own sounds for production and live playing. 3. A very handy phrase sequencer and a great arpeggiator. 4. A general MIDI sound module to create accompaniment and drum rhythm parts, even just to use as a sketchpad. Number 5. It integrates easily into my digital audio workstation. And number 6. It can utilize battery power for remote off-the-grid creative spaces. So, in short, and no reflection on my Jupiter X, I am keeping my Gaia. And I highly recommend this highly underrated machine to anybody starting out and looking for a first synthesizer. Ignore the critics and analog purists. It sounds really good, in my opinion. When I last checked, the Gaia SH-01 was still in production 13 years after its original release in 2010. And that speaks volumes for a product in this day and age. Till later. Ah, you're still here. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe to my channel down below. I'd really appreciate that. Cheers for now.